All right, so here's a rundown of the positive coronavirus tests that we've learned of since President Trump revealed his diagnosis on Friday. The First Lady, Melania Trump, she's currently isolating in the White House and reportedly experiencing mild symptoms. Senior advisor to the president, Hope Hicks, tested positive on Thursday. RNC chairwoman Ronna McDaniel tested positive on Wednesday. Kellyanne Conway, who attended Amy Coney Barrett's nomination ceremony at the White House and was part of the president's debate prep team, announced on Friday she had tested positive. Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, who was also involved in the president's debate prep and attended Barrett's nomination event, tested positive on Saturday and checked himself into a hospital. Trump's campaign manager, Bill Stepien, also announced on Saturday that he tested positive. Two Republican senators who attended Barrett's nomination event at the White House, Senators Thom Tillis and Mike Lee, tested positive. Both serve on the Senate Judiciary Committee. A third GOP senator, Ron Johnson, also tested positive, though he was not at the Barrett event. And Nick Luna, the president's personal aide and so-called body man, tested positive as well for coronavirus. And NBC News can confirm that roughly 3 weeks ago, two White House residence staff members tested positive for the coronavirus. More than at least 7 people who attended the White House ceremony nominating Judge Amy Coney Barrett to replace the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg have been infected with the coronavirus. The event took place just over a week ago on September 26th. 6 people who later tested positive, including First Lady Melania Trump, sat in the first rows during the Rose Garden ceremony. As you can see, few people wore masks and practiced social distancing at the outdoor event, with close conversations and photo ops, even hugs, happening. The indoor event at the White House Diplomatic Room was even more striking for the lack of masks and social distancing. Photos from the New York Times show Republican Senator Thom Tillis, who, as we said, later tested positive, standing near Barrett, the First Lady, and President Trump, both also tested positive, not wearing masks here. In this photo, the president and several White House officials all lined up before one of Barrett's daughters. Again, no masks. Attorney General William Barr and Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar also without masks before Judge Barrett. GOP Senator Thom Tillis sat elbow to elbow with Barrett's young son, both without masks. And Republican Senator Mike Lee of Utah, up close with Judge Barrett. Again, he tested positive. The White House said that all guests at the Barrett nomination ceremony tested negative for the coronavirus prior to the event, but that is just a pitiful response, because everybody knows, anybody who studies the science of this knows that you can get a negative test and still have the coronavirus and then test positive later. And you still have to wear masks.
And they've been using the Abbott Labs,
which are not as strong
tests, which are 30 to 50%. I just, if Alex, if you could show these pictures, because let's just make no mistake of it. This is a tragic conclusion to a year of a White House and a political party, an entire movement, political movement that gambled with their lives and the lives of their loved ones by the entire party embracing the ignorance of one man and obliterating 300 years of science, of medicine, of learning by rejecting this is the rejection of the most basic concepts from the age of enlightenment, the age of reason. They have proudly, for a year now, flouted their rejection of knowledge, rationalism, medicine, progress, reason. They've influenced over 100 million Americans to do the same. In science, the term is denialism, the rejection of basic facts and concepts that make up an undisputed scientific consensus in favor of ignorant, radical ideas. And except for a few in that crowd, We've seen the mocking of masks, the promise of a virus's magical ending, the promotion of phony miracle cures, the insistence that this was all a Democratic political hoax, the pushing of disinfectants, the assurance that COVID was leaving in the spring, the assurance that it would not come back in the fall, even as the president's own doctors and scientists and advisors were saying it would come back in the fall. And it has come back. And America's government is teetering because Republican leadership has chosen to turn their backs on knowledge and learning, science, medicine, basic concepts, and instead have chosen to pass the political test of one man who, while infected by COVID, was mocking Joe Biden for wearing a mask. Zeke, I want to show you the pictures while you're talking. And, you know, I'm not overly cautious when it comes to my health. My family's not. We have, again, some kids with underlying conditions, but we had a family get together this weekend with my children. And because they came from different places, nobody hugged. We did the elbow thing. We ate outside because even though they were our own family, we understood that this was just basic danger that most Americans would understand. And look at these people who are supposed to be America's leaders, sitting there shoulder to shoulder without masks, going inside a closed, tight room with no masks. And you still have, with the question of the president's health, you still have the vice president of the United States, the second in command, still announcing that he's going to run around the country. And make no mistake, Zeke, a lot of those people in the audience, they're Mika and my friends. Yeah. And for the life of me and her, we don't understand why they would behave this way when they have been told repeatedly that they are causing danger to themselves, to their loved ones, and to everyone that they come in contact with. Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.